times. There were times where I was sleeping and I woke up and there were crickets on my nose, or there were times where there was scorpions on my toenails, or there were times where, where when I used the restroom, let's just say, my legs grew stronger. But there were also times where, I enjoyed myself. There were times where, we had a lot of laughter. There were a lot of times we had a lot of joy. There were times where bonding. I learned so much about God, about myself. Just being there in a different country, it gives you a whole new perspective about life. And so I can say overall, just for myself, just being there in Kenya, Africa, I loved it. It was truly amazing, and I just encourage those who are thought of going outside the country. It is amazing.
Thank you. Just go right down the line.
Yeah. Hey y'all, my name is Summer Hayes. I'm a Houston kid. I go to school in Amherst, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, it's really cold. But I am going into my 4th year. I'm an English and religion double major. I'm weak. Yeah, cool. I went to the Rwanda Global Program this summer. I found out about it just browsing InterVarsity's webpage, trying to figure out something to do for the summer, and really grateful I came across it. I knew that racial reconciliation was something that I wanted to look into, and this program really focused on that. And so I signed up, trusted God, came through. Also, it was a whole BCM program. I was like, why wouldn't I want to go abroad with Black people? Okay. So, signed up for it, was really blessed, got to stay with host families and really walk and learn alongside people who've lived there, who have gone through so many things, who welcomed me into their home, into their family. I got to see how God was working across the world and really become a part of a global vision for campuses, for students, for ministry. So it was amazing.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donson McCann. I attend Western Michigan University. This is my 4th year. I'm in the accounting major, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan. This summer, I had the opportunity to go to Rwanda, and actually a month before this opportunity, 2 weeks before that month, I was praying for God to send me new ways to grow. I wanted new experiences so I could become a better man. And 2 weeks later, I get a call saying that my name came up in a couple of conversations and they wanted me to go on this mission trip. And I had nothing to do but say yes. And on this trip, he really spoke to me. He brought a lot out of me that I didn't even know I had in me. And he taught me things that I will use for the rest of my life and that I will try to teach others so that they can also see what I saw on this time. And I really just enjoyed the time over there. I mean, there was hard times, but there was mostly good times. And I honestly would have stayed, but they wouldn't let me.
Cool, appreciate it. So, we want to, we're not going to be up here super long, but we want to somewhat do an interview style of questions to kind of get a feel for what that experience was like for them and the different places that they attended. So I'm going to ask all of them the same question. The first question, which would be, how did going on the GP help you with your own ethnic journey? So that question is going to be to everyone on the panel, and feel free to jump in. Maybe we'll start with Summer, and she can go first. But how did going on the GP help you with your own ethnic journey?
So I identify as African American, and the number 2 question that I got, the first one was how's Trump? And the second question I would get from everyone is, where are you from? So I would say I'm from America, I'm African American, and people would want more explanation. Are you half American, half African? Where in Africa are you from? And just having to explain that over and over again was taxing because I'm used to people knowing my history, knowing my story, and really having to state what that means, what that experience is like, how that impacts me as a person. it enabled me to become really like confident in who I was and unapologetic about the fact that I am a descendant of slaves, and really proud of my history and proud of who God created me to be. And I was able to see like firsthand how that affected me in missions, how that affected me in ministry, and how my experience was able to inspire others and speak into the lives of other people.
We can snap for that. Clapping, snapping, closer. We can do that for them. Go ahead, Jordan.
I'll say my ethnic journey was pretty good. I say number one, some people were confused because when they looked at me, they didn't know if I was from Africa or from America. Some people would look at me and there's one guy, he'll come up to me, he'll be like, your hair, where you from? And he was like, where are you? You from America or you from Kenya? Oh, you must know Obama, huh? Obama. Obama's my cousin. But everyone thought Obama was a cousin there, but that's a side note. But being there, just being there, I'm not too dark, I'm not too light, but I'm in the middle, and I'm like, but people, when they looked at me, being my ethnic journey, I feel, accepted though, being in churches. People would smile, people would laugh, people would accept me in. We'll go in a circle, we'll start dancing, we'll start praising God. And it was amazing opportunity where people, they had open arms. And then people, there were times, kids, they would come scream and look at me. They'll say, Mzungu, 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 Mzungu. And what Mzungu means is white person. And so... But even that, but I felt accepted, just being at the churches. It was just an amazing experience of my ethnic journey, just being there, just a person of color. It was amazing. They really accepted me.
Well, my ethnic journey, it was interesting. I got the Mzungu thing too. Had a ring of kids dancing around me, singing it. But being over there, it made me realize how to be a proud black man. Like, I never really, thought of, what it means to be a proud black man. Like here, it's different because you want to be careful. You want to be safe about who you are. Like, you don't want to scare somebody or something. But over there, I got to be myself. I got to be, loud and, talk and laugh. And I just really got to feel, I really got to be open with, everyone. And that was just like a different experience, and I felt like I got to know myself a lot more in that time than 5 weeks.
Thank you. This next question is for Summer specifically, but how has your view of the world and Christianity been impacted through the GP that you attended?
So, something really amazing about the Rwanda trip, I don't know if that's the same for other trips, but you get to stay with host families while you're down there. And me specifically, my roommate Kyra's in the back. But so we ended up staying with 2 different host families. And while it was a lot at the time, it actually allowed me to visit a lot of different churches, a lot of different church homes, see how churches were run differently, see the communities and get to know the communities that they were ministering to. And through that, I was able to get a really cool vision of like the global church and a sense of the global church that I don't think I've ever experienced here in the U.S. because a lot of the time I either go to an all-black church and like we got stuff we got to deal with, so we don't often take the time to look outside of our circles and our immediate community, or it was like going to an all-white church and that's an experience. So I think over there I really got a sense of how God was working globally and across the world, how people were inspired to follow Christ in very similar ways to the people I knew and admired back at home. And also seeing the heart that people had for campuses, the heart that students had for their own campus, and so many people asking how they could be praying for the American church, sharing different struggles and seeing that they're the same across the ocean. That was really beautiful, and I think that's something that God allowed me to see while I was in London.
Thank you. This third question is for you, Jordan, but what was the highest moment of tension or joy between you and another person in Kenya?
Tension and joy moment. Let me tell you a story his name is Charles. His name is Charles. I'm telling a story about Charles. So basically, we're in this marketplace in Chile. She was there. She was with me, and it was some other of our friends there. And we're walking in this marketplace, and this guy named Charles came over here, and he wanted to get us to buy their goods. Little background story, like for Kenyans, they're some businessmen. They some businessmen. If they were in America, they'll be millionaires, So he came over us, and he was trying to negotiate. He was like, my brother, come here, get here, you see this necklace? It's 10,000, but for you, my brother, I give you 1,000. And he was negotiating, and he was getting, and then he pulled my arm, and he lit. Imagine somebody in the mall, and someone just grabbed you and just pulled you towards the store, right? So he grabbed my arm, and I didn't even know what to feel. I was scared. Number two, I was angry, and number three, I was confused. What was going on? And then he was pulling me, and I literally forgot I was a missionary there. Look, something come out of me. I was about to fight. Look, I was about to fight. Hey. But I didn't know what was going on, and so he was pulling me, and it was so much tension going on, and just that moment there, I wanted to walk away. I'm like, y'all talk to him. And so, yeah, that day of Charles, it was a lot of tension. About two days later, we're walking to church. And there we go, see Charles again. Out of all the people, in Kenya, we walk into church and we see him, But when we were walking there, he seemed calm, he seemed sober. So the other time he was drunk. And so we were walking, we were seeing him, and I was like, let's get another way, or let's turn around or something. You know how you walk past somebody, try not to look at them, so you just look forward. So that's what I was trying to do. So we were walking, and he at a certain point we ended up talking, and so we had a conversation with Charles. And me and my friends, Caleb, and some other people that was from Montana there, and we were talking to Charles, and we were having a conversation. We found out that he was not Christian. And we had a conversation with him, and long story short, we gave him the opportunity to give his life to Christ. And we prayed for him, and he said he wanted to give his life to Christ. And so the moral of that story was the same person that I rejected, God had gave me the opportunity to share the good news. And it really just taught me that no matter who you are, no matter whether you're white, black, Asian, whether you're sober, whether you're drunk, whether you are a politician, whether you're a rich person, I'll realize that, that God can use you to share the gospel to anybody. And just me, I had a lot of tension 2 days before, and my prideful self, my selfish self, I wasn't thinking about being no missionary at the time, I just wanted to throw up some hands or what we're gonna do. But, throw up the hands. But 2 days later, it just made me realize it's the joy in that moment, seeing somebody come to Christ. The person I soon rejected, I see him again out of so many Kenyans, and I see this man Charles, and I just realized that even from now, just looking from anybody on the streets or anybody, there's someone, it could be a chance for you just to talk with them and fellowship them and even have a spiritual conversation from them to come to Christ. So that was a high tension but also a joyful moment when I was there in Kenya.
Thank you. There's 4 questions for you, Donson. What did you learn or gain from the people, or I would say Rwandans, in this country that you would not have learned if you didn't go on this GP?
I know the biggest takeaway I got from Rwanda was forgiveness. Forgiveness was not a thing that I really knew of before then. I tried it, but, it didn't work. I found myself praying to God to forgive someone. And in my prayer, I couldn't bring myself to say those people's names in my prayer. And, when I prayed for God to, give me ways to grow, and he gave me this mission, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm about to go learn stuff. I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to learn. And then he threw the biggest thing that I was struggling with in my face right when I got there. And in Rwanda, I learned how forgiveness is not a weakness. It's because in my mind, the way I grew up, forgiveness was a weakness. It was the last thing you did because you had nothing else to do. And in Rwanda, I found out that forgiving is one of the strongest things you can do. It's like God's gift to you, to that person, because it's not for the person, it's really for you, because it's like because if you don't forgive somebody, that's something you're holding on to, and you can't grow when you have something holding you back. And I realized and learned that that forgiveness is a process. It's not something you just do at once. You don't just forgive somebody and then it's over. You can forgive somebody and still feel that anguish towards them, that hurt. And it's not going to go away right then and there, but you have to continue to give it to God so that he can work on it and work on you at the same time. So, it might take you some months, maybe some years, but the whole point is to give it to him so that you can continue to grow. And I don't think I could have learned that anywhere else like that. This mission was, this was my time to learn that lesson.
That's good. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. This last question is for everyone. And since the fellows shared, we can start with you, Summer. But if you had to give one reason why everyone in this room should go on a GP to a black country, what would you say?
Exciting. So I think, first of all, where else can you wake up, walk outside, and see nothing but black people? Say
that again. Say that again.
Where else can you wake up, walk outside, look around, see nothing but black people? And not just that, but see people who look like you in advertisements, on TV. Also, we don't, you may not believe it, but we don't grow up hearing in America, we don't grow up hearing that people in Africa are smart or cultured. We hear that they're backwards, that they don't know anything. And here you are entering a space where you're the minority in terms of nationality, but in terms of color, you are the majority. And you're entering not to teach these people something, but to learn from them and to give them an opportunity to speak into your life and influence you and mentor you. And I think that power dynamic switch, that ability for you to enter into a place, and like Dodson said earlier, be your full self, is something you can only experience in a program like this. So, yeah, I think it's the reason.
That's good. Thanks for sharing that.
When I get a mirror and I look at it, I don't see the mirror. I see myself. And when I was there at Kenya, I saw more of myself than more I see in Kenya. When I was there, it really just, it just exposed what's a lot in me. You know, it really just really transformed me just being there. Where it just like, it made, especially it taught me how to be more humble and grateful. You know, out here, you know, cold showers, I'm happy, I'm excited. But, you know, just being there, it made me just experience life and seeing myself in a way when I get to be around a different culture, you learn more about yourself than anything, and it transforms you. You know, it was one principle we had being in Kenya. We're not there to transform Kenya, but Kenya to transform us. And that was exactly what it did. You know, it just took pieces apart of me, and literally it chipped away, God literally chipped away things inside of me that I thought, you know, literally, you know, me being in America, I'll be like, all right, me King to be in Kenya, it's gonna be a snap, it's gonna be easy, you know. But actually just being there, I'm just like, whoa, you know, it pushed me to get closer to God. You know, it trained me to be more of a man of God. You know, it trained me to be even more of a future, even a husband. You know, my fiance is right there over there with curly hair. There you go. That's my husband. Yes, we got engaged about 4 days ago. Proposed. Yes. Yes. But it really did. It really taught me. It transformed me in who I was as a person. When I came back, people was like, man, I see something different about you, you know, and it was all God that did it. You know, when I went there, God, I was just like a little cake in the oven, and God had just did what He needed to do to transform me and mold me. When I came out the oven, when I came back to America, you know, people saw something different inside of me. And so, you know, those who who may not have no plans for this summer coming up, or for the summers in the future, I definitely highly encourage to go overseas, whether it's Kenya, whether it's Rwanda, or somewhere else, you know, that it's an amazing opportunity, it's an amazing experience, it's a lifetime that you will never, ever forget. So I definitely highly encourage that you go there.
Last but not least, Dawson, if you had to give one reason why everyone in this room should go to a GP, specifically to a black country, what would you say?
I would say, do I have to choose one? Because just sitting here, I was just thinking, I was like, what are some reasons to go to Africa? And I had about 5 ideas. One that really stuck out to me was that I heard this thing where there's like, where Jewish kids, you know, when they get to a certain age. Come on. When they get to a certain age, they have some have these programs where they get to go back to their homeland. You know, they get to go to Israel, and you know, they get to learn about their heritage and where they're from, so they can grow closer to, you know, their roots. And I thought to myself, like, you know, what are my roots? And you know, as far as we're taught, you know, it starts right before the boat. Right. And I feel like this is that time and that opportunity for us to go even further, so that we can learn about our past, so we can look even harder into our future. Yeah. And yeah, like, and at the same time, another reason was that the give and take that happens when you go on these projects. Like, I took a lot from going on this project. Like, I learned so much, things that will be instilled in me for the rest of my life. Things I will give to my kids, talk to my grandkids about, and, you know, and so on. But at the same time, when I went over there, you know, we were requested to come over to Rwanda. Like, they were looking for African American students to come over. It's like, okay, we have all these, you know, Caucasians, they come over, that's nice. But where are the black kids? Like, you know, like, do they not want to come? Do they not want to see, you know how it is. And it's like, they didn't know that, like, you know, we just didn't have the opportunities to come over to learn about what it is that we're from. And like now we have that opportunity to go and congregate with our brothers and sisters over there so that we can learn from each other and you know, correct the misguided interpretations of what it is that Africans are like and correct their misguided information of what African Americans are like, so that we can become connected, so we can have these intercommunications across these seas. And yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate all three of them sharing. I mean, they have powerful stories, and you know, they didn't know how they were gonna get it. They didn't know how they were gonna get there. They didn't know how they were gonna get the money and raise support and do all those crazy things. And feel free to ask them more questions. I mean, like, it's rare that you have 3 students, educated, strong Black brothers and sisters, determined, motivated, willing to make sacrifices and take risks to go overseas, to really connect and to build community and to pretty much get back to that place, man. We always hear about Africa. We always hear about the motherland, but they touch ground and they know what it feels like. And so feel free to press in, ask more questions. And if you want to know more even about how to get on this GP or how do I do things, you know, Summer just said, hey, I went on the InterVarsity website and I looked, and, you know, she searched all over and found something, right? You know, so she found a little GP for her thing. And then if you want to know more questions, feel free to ask Latricia. She actually went on the Rwanda trip. She's in the back. She's a staff as well, so feel free to ask her questions. Shalir, who's right up here in the front, she went on the GP to Kenya.
Yeah, she the one who encouraged me to go. Thank you, Shalir.
Yeah, there you go. And then obviously Diana Collymore, she spoke earlier, and she's the one that directed the GP to Rwanda. So, and if you want to know more about, you know, is there GPs available in my area, my region, you know, talk to some of the other staff in the room. Like, we want to serve you and help you in that, and really bless you. If you guys don't mind, I just want to bless them real quick. You guys can extend your hands towards them, and then we'll wrap it up. Father, I just thank you for my brother and sisters. I just thank you for Donson and Summer and Jordan. I thank you for their sacrifice. I thank you for their willingness. God, we thank you that they said yes. You know, we're here in Urbana, and we're here talking about missions, and they were able to experience the fruitfulness, God. There were missionaries in the past who have gone, and they have laid or paved the way for us, and I thank you that they, like Donson said, he's going to be able to share this with his kids, his grandkids, his family. Like, we pray that we would have a generation where we begin to build a program, and we begin to build a bridge for our students here in the U.S. to be able to go overseas and experience the richness of what God is doing over there, and to be able to build that bridge in ways that would empower us, God, to be world changers, global Christians, God. I just believe that you have something good for us. And I just pray that even in this room, God, that students that are thinking about what could they be doing, or, you know, is this trip for me? I pray that they would ask questions. I pray that they would take the risk. It's just talking about it. Just give them, stir up something in them. By the end of the week, they would be considering what a GP for them in a specific Black country would look like, and how blessed they would be, just like my brothers and sisters up here. God, we give you thanks and we praise your name. In Jesus' name, amen.